After this, Abhinav Bharat was involved in series of incidents. First, in the summer of 1909, London witnessed a political assassination that shocked the British elite. The assassin was not an Irish nationalist or a European anarchist, but an Indian student from Amritsar, Madan Lal Dhingra. Dhingra was the son of a wealthy Punjabi doctor. He came to study mechanical engineering at University College, London. However, he soon got involved with Avinav Bharat and decided to assassinate Sir Curzon Wyllie, a senior India Office head of political intelligence and handler of princely states. To revolutionaries, Curzon Wyllie symbolized colonial repression. At a National Indian Association event at the Imperial Institute in South Kensington, London, Wyllie attended as a guest. Dhingra, dressed in a suit, attended the event with a hidden pistol. As Wyllie went around shaking hands with attendees, Dhingra shot him point blank. Next day, the British newspapers exploded. Indian student kills India Office head in cold blood. Dhingra was immediately arrested. He expressed no remorse and declared, "I hold the British government responsible for the murder of thousands of Indians. Hence, I murdered one of its officials." His trial rocked India. Some hailed him as a martyr. Others, like Gandhi, condemned his act. Gandhi wrote, "Such violence is a disgrace to India." Dhingra's family disowned him. No one visited him in jail except Savarkar. Dhingra was hanged in London's Pentonville prison. His body was buried in an unmarked grave inside the jail. In his final letter, Dhingra wrote, "I am proud to lay down my life for my motherland." His remains were returned to India on December 13, 1976, 67 years after his execution. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of this podcast, The Monk Who Loved History. Today we discuss the untold stories of India's freedom fighters whose stories have been whitewashed from our history books. This video has 6 sections, 2 minutes each. Savarkar was already in London for higher studies and had established the Avinav Bharat group's arm in London. This is the time when Savarkar sent Pandurang Bapat to Paris to know more about bomb making. Paris that time was the hub of international revolutions. In Paris, Pandurang met Hemchandra Das of the Anushilan Samiti who was sent by Baring Ghosh for the same purpose. Together they connected with international revolutionary organizations. Amongst these was a Russian anarchist. One night, they decided to go for a party. So all these revolutionaries went on a grand party, and during partying, in a drunken stupor, this Russian anarchist generously handed them a bomb manual. Due to such revolutionary activity, India House in London was already under Scotland Yard's watch. Coincidentally, in 1907 was also the golden jubilee year of 1857 Sepoy Mutiny. Britain celebrated this event by glorifying the courage and sacrifice of its soldiers and officers. In plays, essays, editorials, everywhere, Indian rebels were branded as looters and criminals. Think about it. Everyone from Rani Lakshmibai, Tantia Topi, Nana Sahib, Begum Hazrat Mahal were painted as immoral, as if the British were the epitome of morality. Avinav Bharat group directly challenged this narrative. Savarkar tactfully gained access to the India Office Library in London, which housed the private papers, correspondence and classified files from the 1857 revolt. Using these records, he began working on a book titled The Indian War of Independence 1857. Thus, for the first time, Sepoy Mutiny was connected with the broader independence struggle of this time. This was a brilliant deconstruction of events and reinterpretation as India's first war of independence. Before Scotland Yard could react, the manuscript was smuggled by an Avinav Bharat member to Paris for printing. British agents chased the manuscript across Europe, from London to Paris, from Paris to Germany, Germany to Austria, and finally to Holland. Meanwhile, in India, Lord Minto issued strict orders that the book must not enter the country. Nevertheless, revolutionaries smuggled it in. This book became an instant hit and was read widely by all the revolutionaries. The pen is mightier than the sword. Meanwhile, back home in India, news came in that Lord and Lady Minto, while travelling in Gujarat, were targeted. As their carriage was moving from Ahmedabad station towards Raipur gate, 2 bombs were hurled at them. Fortunately, neither bomb exploded, but the incident jolted the CID, a direct attack on the Viceroy himself. The investigation revealed that the perpetrator, Madan Lal Pandey, had connections with both Avinav Bharat and Anushilan Samiti. Within days, another shockwave came, the Nasik conspiracy case. In December 2009, the small town of Nasik in the Bombay Presidency witnessed an assassination that sent shockwaves across colonial India. The British collector of Nasik, A.M.T. Jackson, was shot dead. The prime assassin was a 17-year-old Anand Lakshman Kanhare, aided by Krishna Karve and Vinayak Deshpande. Jackson was attending a farewell play at Vijayanand Theatre before his transfer to another district. During the play, Kanhare stood up from the audience with a Belgian revolver hidden under his coat. As Jackson walked down the aisle, Kanhare stepped forward and fired 4 bullets, killing him instantly. The British claimed it was part of a larger seditious conspiracy, directly linking it to Vinayak Savarkar in London. All three, Kanhare, Karve and Deshpande, were sentenced to death, and Savarkar was arrested in London. And now begins a thriller. Listen to this section carefully. This will feel like a real-life Hollywood thriller. Savarkar was lodged in Brixton Prison, London, while his extradition papers were processed for deportment to Bombay. During the court proceedings, the Irish revolutionaries plotted to rescue him. The Irish revolutionaries noticed that Savarkar was being taken to court in a black cab and planned to intercept it with a getaway vehicle. Few days later, they moved in with the daring rescue plan. The getaway car was ready waiting. They stopped the police car en route to court, but when they opened the door, surprise, Savarkar wasn't there. Instead, 3 Scotland Yard agents stared back. British intelligence had already received a tip-off and have switched vehicles, foiling the daring plan in the heart of London. Soon after, court proceedings in London concluded, and Savarkar's extradition was signed by none other than Secretary of State for Home Affairs Winston Churchill, who will go on to become the British Prime Minister during World War II. Yes, the same Churchill in 1943 ordered the Scotch Dark policy in Bengal to stop the joint Japanese and Subhash Bose advance from Burma. Food supplies were cut out from the open markets to starve out any invading forces. The result, the Great Bengal Famine, where 30 lakh people died. British officers, alarmed, wrote to London, "Please open the food godowns. People are dying across Bengal." Churchill responded, "If that's the case, then how are the Indians still breeding like rabbits?" If Nazis were tried for the Jewish Holocaust and Japanese generals for the rape of Nanking, then why was Churchill scot-free? Churchill should have been tried in the International Court of Justice as a war criminal and hanged. Back to Savarkar. After the car incident, he was transported to India on a ship named SS Moria. Under strict watch, 2 British officers, 1 Indian officer and 2 Indian constables escorted him. They never left him out of sight. Even in the bathroom, the door had to remain slightly open. On July 7, the ship docked in Marseille, France. Since Indian revolutionaries were already active in France, Scotland Yard maintained strict surveillance. But on the morning of July 8 at 6:15 am, Savarkar asked to use the bathroom. A sleepy British officer escorted him, unaware of a small porthole in the lavatory. Savarkar slipped halfway through the hole before being noticed, but too late. As his guards raised an alarm, he leapt into the sea. He swam to the shore and ran towards a pre-decided spot, chased by his guards. But Brigadier Pescu of the French police, who was on the watch in the dock area that night, reached him first and arrested him. Savarkar pleaded for political asylum, but Pescu didn't understand a word of English. Assuming he was a petty criminal, Pescu handed Savarkar back to the British. Just 5 minutes later, VVS Iyer, KC Chattopadhyay and Madam Bikaji Kama arrived at the spot with a getaway car. But by that time, it was too late. SS Moria sailed away with Savarkar. Outraged, next day, Madame Kama raised the issue in the French press. The French ambassador to Britain demanded Savarkar be returned back to France. The matter escalated in the French Chamber of Deputies and it snowballed into a massive diplomatic clash between the French and the English. The case eventually reached the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Meanwhile, in Bombay, Savarkar's lawyers delayed the trial, arguing that the court must wait for the International Court of Justice decision before trial can begin in Indian court. Unfortunately, few days later, the International Court ruled in favor of Britain. Savarkar was sentenced to 2 life terms, 50 years in the Andaman Cellular Jail. Before concluding today's episode, just putting this in context, little do we realize the long, almost 50-year revolutionary struggle for India's independence. Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru were in the 3rd phase, and Netaji Subhash will come in the 4th phase, which is the last phase of this struggle. The first phase of our revolutionary movement had 2 episodes. This was episode 1, and the second episode will be published in 3 days from now. If you like this podcast, then subscribe to this channel and spread the whisper of revolution in your network. Let the legacy of our freedom fighters inspire us to carry forward the torch of independence and unity. Jai Hind.